spot in the hallway.
All right, guys, you want to return to the desk?
I don't, I accidentally move them.
It's 7 o'clock.
Or something like that. It's crazy.
Jim? Nellie? Beth? Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your attendance at the Monday, March 11th board meeting of the Intermediate School District 271. All members,
Independent?
Independent.
what did I say? Oh, I was close. Independent School District. All right, I got nervous because nobody's sitting down. All right, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin, I'd like to ask for a motion for a closed session upon the conclusion of tonight's school board meeting.
So moved?
Second?
Thank you. All in favor, please say yes.
For what purpose?
Oh, I'm sorry. The purpose, it's permitted by Section 13D.03 to discuss district's labor negotiation strategy related to the district's negotiations with all the bargaining groups. Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. That brings us to approval of the agenda. No, we did that. A recognition of students, staff, and public. And this evening's friend is Hope for Tomorrow. I'd like to introduce Assistant Superintendent Melby to come and do an introduction.
We've got a large group here with us tonight. Everybody's grabbing their seats.
Did we just do the study session?
Okay, Board Chair Bartolotta, Superintendent Fujitaki, members of the board, and the viewing public, thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to tee us up and reintroduce us to Hope for Tomorrow, a friend of the board that we're reintroducing as a friend of the board tonight. With this group, we should be done within 2 hours, I think, so no worries. I'm going to introduce down the, raise your hands when I say your name. So we've got principals from 2 of our middle schools where Hope for Tomorrow is active chapters. So Megan Wilrit from Valley View Middle and Brian Ingeman from Oak Grove Middle School. When I pass the baton down, they'll introduce some of the other folks up at the table. You all are familiar with our pathways to graduation. Excuse me, the picture you see is really our strategic plan, and we create these pathways. How are we creating the pathways and teaching students to navigate these pathways? If these slides look familiar, they're very similar to the ones Andy Kuba showed you the last time he was here introducing Genesis Works as a friend of the board. How do we do this? We create partnerships. We have information tools that we use. We have a PGP, a personalized growth plan that students use. We do equity work. We have internships, and another important piece of that is mentoring, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit tonight with our group here tonight. If you recall, this is a slide that Andy shared when he was introducing a friend of the board, because he talked about the fact that technology can help us get where we need to go. We've shared information about our personalized growth plan around the district, out in public, with the school board, and Andy pointed out when he was here that Waze is a particular app that's great because it kind of gets you going in the right direction. If there's a traffic jam or if there's something strange happening, it all of a sudden redirects you and gets you going in another place. I thought that was great. At the same time, sometimes you need a human to talk to, even when you're using your electronic means to get where you're going. The best laid plans through technology are great until they aren't so great, and then you get really frustrated with the technology, you get really frustrated with the path you may be on. So for instance, if I were to, I don't know why I was thinking about maybe going on vacation to Hawaii this winter, seems like a nice place to go. I could probably get around Hawaii somewhat with Waze app or with other technology to help me get there, but at the end of the day, I probably need a tour guide or somebody who is a local expert to help me figure out what I'm doing in Hawaii, to show me some of the places I'd never find necessarily through an electronic thing on a app on a phone. And I had to get, since I was referencing Hawaii, a Magnum PI picture up there, so the helicopter. You might want to take a helicopter tour with TC. When we talk about the personalized growth plan and the tools that it provides to students, again, this is very similar to the slide Andy showed you recently, but I want to reinforce that there's all sorts of great information that students and families can glean off the personalized growth plan. It'll tell you if your activities on your personalized growth plan are complete. It'll tell you if you're getting off course for what you said is your pathway goal. It will tell you about scholarships. It will tell you about speakers coming, college visits, internships, and what we're here to talking about tonight, it's going to help connect students with mentors and mentoring programs. So that's just another way that the personalized growth plan will get us going in our mentoring programs. We can't do all this without our partners. Hope for Tomorrow has been a great partner for a long time in the district and has expanded their programming in the district. And with that, I'm going to let everybody talk a little bit more about Hope for Tomorrow and reintroduce to you. So I'm going to ask that we pass this down to Melanie. But first, I'm going to ask Brian and Megan to introduce the rest of the group that's up here tonight. And I'm going to remind all of us, because we're a big group, to pull a microphone close like I'm doing. I'm modeling it for everybody as you're giving your talks tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you. Appreciate the school board taking time to recognize Hope for Tomorrow. They've been a great partner for the Bloomington schools for 20 plus years, and I was fortunate to have Melanie Larson join our staff 10 years ago, and she brought Hope for Tomorrow with us from Valley Middle School to Oak Grove Middle School, and it continues at Valley Middle School. But it's teacher leaders like Melanie that take the time to organize the events, and she'll talk about this, but working with the mentors, identifying students, making these possible connections for our students and these pathways for hope as they finish middle school and go to high school. So we're very fortunate to have this program in the district, and fortunate to have Melanie here tonight to talk about the great things the program has done.
Awesome. Good evening. My name is Megan Wilred. I'm principal at Valley View Middle School. While I'm new to Valley View, Hope for Tomorrow is definitely not new. Their first chapter was at Valley View Middle School. I'm representing tonight the male chapter of Hope for Tomorrow, but we also have a young women's chapter as well at Valley View Middle School. Here with me tonight is Eric Johnson. He is one of our well-loved staff who organizes, recruits, and plans and coordinates with our Hope for Tomorrow leaders. We also have Jamie Peters here, and he is one of our mentors as well. Jamie and I were talking prior to this meeting, and he let me know that over 600 Bloomington students have graduated through the Hope for Tomorrow program since its inception. 20 plus years ago. So thank you for welcoming us tonight.
Hi, I'm Melanie Larson. I'm a teacher at Oak Grove Middle School, and I'm the teacher liaison for the Young Women's chapter at Oak Grove. And so I'll introduce everybody too. I have next to me Chloe Serbescu. She's a current mentee in the program. And then Kim Pearson is our leader at Oak Grove Middle School this year. And then we have a couple of alumni with us that are going to be speaking later. So Margarita Sanchez and Alberto Perez. So I guess I will start. So the mission of Hope for Tomorrow is that they want to empower young teens to realize their full personal and academic potential by reinforcing critical life skills through mentoring relationships with caring adults. So they take a lot of time to find the right mentors. They have a program, they do a lot of training with the mentors, background checks, all that good stuff to get the program going. But without the mentors, this program wouldn't exist. So bringing people into the school district. So a little bit of the history. Hope for Tomorrow actually began in 1997. And so that would have been Bravo. So we were talking about that. It's now Valley View Middle School, but started at Bravo with a girls chapter first. And then so that chapter existed for quite a few years before they decided to branch out. So it took 8 years actually for the second chapter to begin, and that was in Burnsville, 2005. And then it kind of spread across the metro area. They wanted to kind of not package it, but they wanted it to be able to be accessible to other people too, and because they thought they had something special, and they did, in my opinion. But so it spread across. There's 8 chapters in the fall of 2017. Then there were 12 chapters in 7 different cities, and then Bloomington was the first, though, so always special. A little bit more, the boys chapters began in 2008. And so there's currently 3 boys chapters. And so like we said, the first one was at Valley View Middle School, and then also Rosemont and Lakeville. And then now alumni groups have formed. So once the girls made it through middle school, they saw the need to keep that connection going. And so there is an alumni group at Kennedy High School, and Kim will be talking more about that in a little bit here. But it gives the chance for former mentees to still stay connected. And she's going to talk about the scholarships that they offer as well. All right. So what the program looks like, we meet once a month, and they meet for a couple of hours. The girls get a chance to meet at the beginning of the meeting with their mentor and just get a chance to kind of reconnect with each other and have conversations and make connections. And then they focus on a theme each month. And so the themes are on your screen, but healthy balance, they focus on, mind, body, and spirit kind of things. We've done yoga, the picture up there of the boys doing yoga. We've done kickboxing in the past. We've done some cooking in the FACS lab before. They do different things to kind of keep it new. First impressions we thought were really important for young people, whether it's applying for a scholarship or a job or things like that. And so that's one of the things they talk about. Dreams and goals, dreaming big, but also having those goals that help you attain that. Self-respect, attitudes, and choices. The picture up there, they do skits. And so they introduce situations that they might face and how they could handle those and talk about attitudes that might help them succeed in choices that they make. And then another part of the program, we do go off campus a few times. So we go to a corporate campus and we go to a college campus. And so actually tomorrow, the Oak Grove chapter is going to the U of M to take a tour. We talk with the student panel. We get a tour of the St. Paul campus. We get to see a dorm room. We eat. Some of the students will eat with us, so they get a chance to talk to them a little bit more. And then the corporate campus that Oak Grove and Valley View, the girls go to is Cargill, and we have a really good relationship with them, and I'll let Kim talk about that a little bit later. Hope for Tomorrow is really wants to focus on life skills, so the mentoring relationship, all those things that kids can get out of that mentoring relationship that might be missing, or maybe they just want to enhance. And so you can see some of those on your screen as well. And then what's really neat, at the end of every meeting, one of the rules in Hope for Tomorrow is actually that they have to stand every time they speak. And so at the end of every meeting, we say an affirmation. And so I won't read it to you, but that's the affirmation that they close with. And it always feels pretty powerful because everybody's standing together and kind of affirming their beliefs and why we're here and what our purpose is. So that's kind of what it looks like for the students. So I'll let Chloe talk next. She's a current student at Oak Grove, and so she's going to tell you a little bit about her thoughts on the program.
So I really enjoyed this program because we went to Cargill, and it was really fun to see what kind of jobs there were and see like the different opportunities you can have. And my mentor, I really enjoyed talking with her. We journaled to get to know each other at first, and we got to know what each other, like what I like and what she likes, and our dislikes and stuff. And we learned about goals and achievements, and that really helped me like figure out some goals that I want to try to accomplish so I can accomplish my bigger dreams in life. And healthy habits like being healthy mentally, eating healthy, keeping up good grades, and that also helped because it helped me think of helped me think of like how to keep up good grades and all that kind of stuff. And then making friends and conversation starters were really helpful for me, because then it helped me think like good conversation starters to make new friends, and then making new friends and becoming closer with the people who are in Hope for Tomorrow. Also, I really like that too, because I got to know them better and everything. So I really enjoyed this program.
Thanks, Chloe. I know that Allie, our student board rep from Kennedy, talked to some students who have been with Hope for Tomorrow as well. Allie, maybe you could share a little bit of what you learned.
Yeah, for sure. So me and Ms. Campa met with some of the students who were in Hope for Tomorrow in middle school. And a recurring theme that kind of me and Ms. Campa realized was the empowerment that they felt, like through opportunities, through meeting cool people and meeting mentors that they were close with, and being able to go out into the workforce, go out into college visits and see those types of people just like them reaching their goals. There was a huge, like embracing their confidence, embracing that empowerment that Hope for Tomorrow supplied them with. And one of my favorite things that I heard was a diary that they kept with their mentors, where they were able to communicate back and forth. They wrote in their diary, and their mentors would write back to them. And that was super cool, a really cool program that I didn't know about before. And pretty much all of them said that they felt empowered by the affirmations, by reaching their goals, by setting new goals, and learning things about themselves and about manners and just like things like that, life skills that they wouldn't have had before this. So yeah.
Thank you. Now we're going to have a couple of alumni from the program talk about their experiences with the program.
Well, I'm Alberto. I've been at Hope for Tomorrow since middle school. I'm 19 years old now, and Normandale's college student as well. What really helped me with Hope to Tomorrow is that I can prepare for first impressions, like a interview, college, stuff like that, like a presentation like what I'm doing right now. What really helped me is basically open up myself, like be personal with persons I'm really close to. Like I'm finally talking to my neighbors for like 10 years now. What else have I done? It also gave me ideas on what I want to become when I grow up. Like we went to the Donaldson Corporation when we were in middle school. We also went to, I'm not sure what college we went. Do you remember? Was it Normandale? All right, Normandale. What? Yeah. No, Metro State, yeah. And it really helped me give an idea on what I want to become. Like right now I want to become a police officer, so I'm trying to major in law enforcement, and it gave me really good ideas on what I need to do, what I need to prepare for in order to be a police officer. And I don't know, I guess it just really opened me up and talk to really anyone, and I just don't feel nervous at all.
Hi, good evening. I'm Margarita Sanchez, and I was part of the Oak Grove Girls chapter, like 5 years ago now. Well, it's been a long time. So, at Kennedy, we have the alumni get-togethers, or like every 3 months or so. And like at the end we had like a picnic, and I think I enjoyed it because like you get to kind of talk with the mentees that come from the middle schools, and you share the experiences you have with them. And I still have a good connection with like 3 or 4 of the girls there. They still go to Kennedy because I'm a graduate now, and I go to Normandale as well, and I'm majoring in ESL education. So I still have a good connection with them. They always ask me, how'd you do this or how'd you do that? And you build kind of like a bond with the people there. And Ginny is not here tonight, Ginny Beckett, but I have a very good special bond with her too, because she was kind of like the person I went to for some scholarship help, and I received the scholarship. Me and Alberto did, I think. So we were very grateful of that, and I think Hope for Tomorrow just gives us kind of the gateway to finding out what we really enjoy. As an affirmation says, I am a unique person with my own special talents and interests and hopes and dreams. And I think that's very true, because I honestly wouldn't have thought about majoring in ESL education at all, honestly. I was very inspired by other people that were in my life, especially my father. And just Hope for Tomorrow, they're kind of like a support group as well when you really need them. And I think that's very important to have, because without support, you're really kind of lost in a way. So having Hope for Tomorrow kind of like brings everything all together, and just you have your little group there and your little connections and stuff and bonds. So yeah.
Great, thank you. I'm going to back out of the way so Jamie and Kim from Hope for Tomorrow can get up to a microphone.
Yeah. So I'll just speak a little bit more about the alumni group and then also the scholarships. So as you can hear, as they went through the program, students started developing a connection as well. They developed connections with their mentors, and we recognized that there was a need to kind of give them something more after 8th grade. However, they become very busy in high school. So the alumni group only meets 3 times a year. The first meeting is kind of a, how are you doing? How's it going in high school? Yes. And we have the older students who can talk with the 9th graders who are just coming into high school and give them some tips and ideas and just kind of continue those relationships. The second one, what we are finding, that one has varied, but last year and this year, the topics are how to live independently, because we've heard from some of the older students who have said, you know, next year I'm going to college and I need to know more about budgeting. I need to know how I can afford an apartment, what I can do. And so even like down to simple meals that they can prepare that are inexpensive and easy to prepare, few ingredients, that kind of thing. So that's kind of what the second one is. And the last one is a celebration of the end of the year. It's a picnic, and again, it's kind of more of a social thing and kind of a, you made it through the year, and how about those goals? How are you doing on those? That kind of thing. As well, what we were finding is that, you know, we just felt like it would be really nice if we could provide some scholarship money to these students. And we had a couple of people who came forward to the organization and said, I would like to donate money, and if you are interested, this is how I would like to use that money, which we did. As well, we became a nonprofit, and once you become a nonprofit, you can't have a bucket of money sitting there. So we've been very careful about making sure that any extra money we have, we tend to like to use it on these scholarships. Last year we were able, so it's what I remember it starting as, and Jamie, I don't know if, I think it started as like 2 $500 scholarships maybe. And last year we were able to give 4 $1,000 scholarships, and this year we will give 4 $1,000 scholarships also. So that's another big part of the program, kind of a continuation.
Thanks. I'm Jamie Peters, and I have been a mentor with the program since the first voice group at Valley View in 2008, so I guess now I know it's 11 years. Thank you for mentioning 2008. And it's been a great program for the kids. And so first of all, I want to thank the board and the district for really supporting the program over this period of time. I think, you know, it's been a, you know, for some of the kids, it's probably, you know, maybe not that helpful, but for many, very, very helpful in terms of skill development. Also want to appreciate Mr. Johnson, Eric Johnson, who's one of the teachers, who's a liaison, and the other liaisons at the other schools who really help bring the program together, help coordinate from the school side, and that's really an essential component. And Eric has taken on a mentee each year. He's been involved, which is good. And speaking of the mentors, there's really quite a bit of diversity in terms of the mentors themselves and in age and background. So it brings richness, I think, to the kids' experience, because as we have each session has a different theme. But we also have our own, each of the kids has to stand and when they speak, but there's a lot of mixing of input. So you have your one-on-one mentor-mentee relationship, and you have group discussion. And as Alberto mentioned, you know, some of the kids come in and they're very shy and difficult to really stand in front of a group. And that's one of the things they learn, which is a pretty awesome skill to learn, is how to present your thoughts in front of a group, so something they can use later on. And lastly, just I would mention that it's been very gratifying for all of us involved in the program. We appreciate the founders and hope that it continues to spread. It's a great program. So thank you very much.
Is that it?
That's the end of the
Does
presentation.
anybody
Yeah.
have any questions?
Any questions? Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you all for coming. It's nice to see all your smiling faces. A little feedback for the students, you did fantastic. I don't see any nerves at all up there. So, Alberto, Chloe, and is it Margarita? I'm curious to know if you can tell us your one favorite thing about this program. Just the one that's on the top of your head. What's the favorite thing you like? And you go ahead and start
Yeah,
out.
I want to say the mentors, because they really open you up and they talk to you and they give you ideas on what to do. And I couldn't really be the person who I am today without these mentors that I talk to and stuff.
For me, I think it's the bonds and relationships that you build within the program itself. And like I mentioned, I'm very close to one of the founders, Jenny Beckett, very close to her. And I'm very close to the younger, I can say generation now, because I'm old, I'm sorry. And I'm very close to them as well, because now they see me as like a person they can look up to, but I just think the relationships that you build within the program, they're just so valuable. So, yeah.
I would also say building relationships, because I've built stronger relationships with people I haven't really known that well before in my class, and we've become closer friends.
Great. So for all the adults that are in this program, those are compliments for you.
We appreciate it. I will mention one other really interesting part of the program is that we have a board. I sit on the board, but even more importantly is one of our other board members is a former graduate of Hope for Tomorrow who went all the way through. She's in the working world and she's on our board now. So she really speaks from authority in terms of being a former 8th grade Hope for Tomorrow kid.
Jim?
Sure, this is very interesting. Now, for you alumni, do you go back and are you mentors then? You're just an alumni of the program, so the mentors are school people, staff people, or where? Explain all the mentors
Sure.
and how.
I can do that.
How we could be a
maybe Kim
mentor.
can. So we recruit mentors, so you could be a mentor, and we would welcome you. So each of the leads, and Kim's the lead, I used to be one of the leads, really looks to each next year to recruit mentors to grow the program. We try to ideally have between 8 and 12, sometimes more, I think. Oak Grove
Valley
has
View
more.
often has 14.
14, yeah. So, and you pair that, so you can only have as many kids as there are mentors in the program. And they're from all different lines of work. Another interesting connection is Quality Bike Products. So Quality Bike Products is, if you're not familiar, they're an amazing company in Bloomington. They're the largest bicycle part company in the world. And they manufacture bikes, but that's our corporate visit. And we usually have about 4 mentors who come from Quality Bike Products. Just the way that company is run, they really reward and appreciate their employees being involved in the community. So it's another partnership with the schools and a corporate entity. So I think it's a great model. So when we go to take the kids for their corporate visit at Quality Bike Products, and Alberto, you went to Quality Bike Products. You went to Donaldson. There was a couple years where we didn't go to Quality Bike Products, but at Quality Bike Products, they'll see engineers working on how to design bikes. They'll see people packing, in the packing area. They'll see photographers and marketing people and talk to them and interact. So it's one of the experiences they have during the program. Did I answer your question about the mentors?
Fine. And then it just, for middle schoolers, does it continue through high school then?
It's optional. So Kim, you can, or Melanie, you could probably speak better to the mentor program.
Yeah. It is optional, and like I said, they get so busy. There are some who, go through the program, take what they can get out of it, and then we don't see them again. And there are others who who really want to maintain that connection. There is varied attendance at each of those alumni sessions because it really depends on what's going on. Plus, we've kind of struggled with what time of day to make it available because they have, sometimes school things in the morning, school things after school. So we try and do it in the middle of school, but if they have tests, they don't want to go. So it's always a work in progress.
Thank you.
One other connection too is that after the session, with the permission of parents, that relationship between the mentor and the mentee can continue. So there can be interaction and be an additional support over time. My wife was also involved as a mentor and still has a relationship with, probably going back 10 years with one of her former mentees.
I just think this is so needed, and I really appreciate that you have this focus. So thank you for being an asset to our school district. I also am wanting to get the word out there to other people. If I run into people that are interested in becoming mentors, do you have a website that we can refer them to? And is there a criteria on your website? I see nodding heads, so that's great. That's
Do
great.
you have that on that slide? I don't know if there's another.
Yep.
You had a slide with that.
Yeah, I can get that. I can forward that to people. But yeah, they do have a website, hopefortomorrowmentoring.org. That explains everything, like who a mentee is, who a mentor could be. There's lots of information on there.
Yeah, and it's Hope for Tomorrow Mentoring, because I think there's another group that's Hope
Okay.
for Tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Can I just say one more thing, just real quickly? Because you mentioned quality bike products. I just wanted to mention, too, that where we go as the two girls chapters is Cargill. I mentioned that before, or you mentioned that. But Cargill has become a tremendous partner with us in this, and they work very hard to put on a good presentation for our girls, and they have given us scholarship money for the last 3 years. So that's kind of a little shout out to them.
Any other questions? Well, thank you again all for coming, and thank you for the information. Maybe get some new mentors.
Thank you
from
for
this.
having us.
Before we move on, I need to make an approval of the agenda. Would someone like to move that?
So moved.
Did we move? We didn't do. Second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Okay, now we can move on to student board representative reports. Who's going to go first tonight?
I'll go first.
All right.
Always.
All right, I'm Jackson Amagala. I'm a senior at Jefferson High School. 5 Jefferson High School seniors have been named finalists in the 2019 National Merit Scholarship Program. These students include Charles Mackey, Ryan Martz, Amelia Miller, and Isabel Fawn, and Emily Whammer. These are candidates for the Merit Scholarship to be awarded this spring. More than 1.6 million students apply for this. Also, Lucy Bianchi was named Jefferson's Athena Award winner for 2019. And then more with sports, Jefferson's Sam Wallace was the 2AA diving champion at state. Sam was also selected at section as 2AA Diver of the Year, as well as the assistant coach, Brendan Fraser, was selected section 2AA Diving Coach of the Year. Sadly, the boys basketball program, I was about to say ended completely, but just they lost their section game against Chanhassen.
Prior Lake.
Well, oh, it was Prior Lake?
It was Prior Lake.
Dang.
Well, what's the difference?
So it was a good season for the boys. Also, I wanted to shout out National Bus Driver Day, Appreciation Day. I'd like to thank the bus drivers of Bloomington working hard, especially during this winter season, getting the kids home safe and on time during the home and school, and I really appreciate it. And last week, we had finals for the second trimester. They went well, at least I think so. And hopefully I can start the trimester strong and finish it strong, of course, with the last trimester of my senior year. So thank you.
Thank you, Jackson. Kaylee.
Hi, I only know that it was probably because I was at that game for some reason. So it was a good start to trimester 3 today. We saw a lot of Monday blues, but we're back and we're here. Sounds good. And so sophomore Isaac Grams went to state for wrestling, and 10 out of our 14 wrestlers placed in the section meet. They have meets. Yeah, the section meet. Mr. Koval and Miss Jewell were named semifinalists for Minnesota Teacher of the Year, and they're both teachers at Kennedy. This Friday, we have a healthcare spotlight speaker at the College and Career Center, which I'm going to be at, and I'm super excited for. Our choir program, some of our, it was a choice. So some of our choir kids are in California right now, where they left Thursday, and they're coming back this Thursday. So they're there for a week, and they're visiting another high school to perform, so a little like exchange. They have a couple more programs, and they're in Disneyland. They were in Disneyland today. I saw it all over Snapchat. They were on the beach. It looked beautiful. Super fun trip for them. And it's the start of spring sports, which I'm looking forward to. I get to watch the lacrosse games again, wear shorts. It'll be fun. And so we're looking forward to the third trimester, the warm weather, and wishing our seniors in Jackson a good last high school trimester.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone who wishes to address the school board on an item that is not on the agenda?
Aren't you in the choir?
Seeing no one come forward, we'll move on. I'd like to invite Doug Langfels to the podium, or the table. He's going to give us a report on the activity centers. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Chair Bartolotta, directors of the board, Superintendent Fujitaki. I'm here to give you a brief state of the activity centers, and in 2 words, very busy. For the viewing public who may not know a lot of the history, I'd like to kind of go back and begin with a little bit of history. It was about 20 years ago that the district was considering going out on a bond referendum to raise money to improve the facilities of all the schools and then add the activity centers. So that bond referendum passed in 1999, construction began, and the activity centers opened in 2002. There was a delay in Jefferson's opening up because of a soil issue. Kennedy's opened in January of 2002, and Jefferson opened in September of 2002. So it's been running for 17 years, and it seems kind of funny that we used to be talking not too long ago about the new activity centers, but they are 17 years old. It's been a wonderful collaborative effort between the high schools and community education. We run the community education part of it, but we have to work, and we do work very well with the high schools. So currently, a good kind of a snapshot picture is in the morning you have the physical education classes using the courts, weight room, and the track. After school, you have the sports team. So as Allie mentioned, spring sports started today. So at Kennedy today, we had softball and girls lacrosse captain's practice, filling up the courts. And then tonight, we have all kinds of activities going on the courts, park and rec, basketball, volleyball, and fast pitch softball at Kennedy, and lots of things over at Jefferson. So they're very busy. Back 20 years ago, this was a new concept. There weren't too many high schools in Minnesota or around the country that had these types of facilities. Eden Prairie and Hopkins predated Bloomington in having the facilities. But since we added ours, I have been consulting with at least 8 school districts as those districts have approved and have added activity centers. These school districts have contacted me, they have visited. They wanted to know how did we do it in Bloomington? How do we integrate community adults and senior citizens into this part of the school when there are school hours and school students there? It's been a joy to be able to tell them how we've been able to do it. The support of the board has been integral in that. So it's been fun to consult. And just most recently, Chisago City, Edina, Stillwater, those are some of the latest school districts to add more gyms or more activity centers. Currently, I did a quick report on membership, so we have kind of two facets to the Activity Center operation, the court rental and the membership program. The membership program brings in the community, adults, students, seniors, to use the weight room, the track, and the courts. From November through the end of February, so the kind of the prime 4 months, we sold over 3,500 membership packages. And some of those packages are families, so you just add a few more people onto that. So it's a very robust program. We have a lot of people from the community utilizing the services there. And they do come in during the day in the weight room, and they come in and use the track. We don't offer court availability during the school day or after school. However, most of you know that we have the Born Again Jocks volleyball group, senior men, and they play 15 weeks at Jefferson. So they start in October. They go to about Martin Luther King holiday, and then they switch over to Kennedy, and they finish up there at the end of April. And there they have the opportunity to play the students, but we don't try and force that. We want the students in PE to be the ones that initiate that. The freshmen and sophomores are a little leery about playing the guys. They're pretty good. The upperclassmen and the advanced PE classes generally take them on, and that's fun to watch. So there's been good intergenerational interaction over all these years between students and the other adults that we've been integrating in to that facility. The next thing I wanted to talk about was court usage. We do have, most of our courts are busy just all the time. And on the weekends, we have a lot of tournaments. So we just had a girls' state tournament run at Jefferson 2 weekends ago. This past weekend, we had a boys' state tournament run at Kennedy. This coming weekend, we have the adapted floor hockey tournament with the State High School League. That'll be at Jefferson. Then we have, usually spring break is pretty quiet. April and May and about the first half of June are very busy with AAU basketball. So we attract a lot of that business to Bloomington because we're centrally located, have great wood floors for people to compete on, and of course we have a robust hospitality industry and the Mall of America. So we are attractive to a lot of groups that want to run tournaments. Something that's going to be unique coming up in about 3 weeks, a lot of you do know that the Final Four is coming to Minneapolis, a big event. A part of that is called the NCAA Next Generation. This is something that started last year in San Antonio, Texas, and they're continuing here in Minneapolis. They are involved with NBA Basketball Academy and USA Basketball. So NBA Academy is bringing high school students from around the world into Minneapolis, and they're going to be practicing and scrimmaging at Jefferson during the school day from 9 to 12, all the first week of April. And then USA Basketball comes in at the end of the week with the elite high school players from across our country, and they start practicing on Friday, and then they play each other on Saturday. And then, of course, there's all the activities down at US Bank Stadium. So we're going to have a unique event, probably a one-time thing that'll be happening at Jefferson, coming up April 1st through 6th. And we will be closing the track and the weight room for our membership program because the NBA has some pretty strict rules about closed practice sessions. So unfortunately, we won't be able to let students in there and watch as much as we'd like to, but we want to follow the rules that they've set out. And both of those groups are showing their appreciation by giving a pretty sizable donation to Jefferson High School, along with the court rental that we'll be receiving too. So something to look forward to in the next few weeks. This program has been successful because of a lot of things, and I want to acknowledge the Buildings and Grounds Department with the district. These facilities wouldn't be as nice as they are if we didn't have strong leadership in buildings and grounds. So Tim and Dave and Bill, as the supervisors, have done a wonderful job. They're great to work with. They really have those facilities in mind when it comes to improvements. The chiefs of the building, Scott and Brad, and their second shift lead, Roger and Bob, do a fabulous job of helping to accommodate our needs when we have that type of a need for custodial support. Dave Ross has done a great job of working on air conditioning and lighting issues. We have had great support with snow removal, especially this year. So Dawn Williams, I think I'd like to give her a shout out too. I'd like to thank the board for your support over all the years. Les, I would like to thank you for your strong support. I don't think we would have air conditioning or dehumidification in either facility if it wasn't for you. Those were added in 2015 and 2016, which just raised the quality of those facilities and made them very attractive. The last, I think, big hurdle that we accomplished was adding the elevator at Jefferson this past summer of 2018. So we have dehumidification and elevators in both facilities, which didn't exist when we opened in 2002. Jefferson and Kennedy administration, I'd like to thank them. Once again, it's an integral part. It's a shared use facility. Integrating community adults into a high school during the high school day is unique across the nation. I don't think it happens very many places. So I think all of you can be proud of what you have built and supported over the years. Kudos for making this such a special project. And the PE teachers, Terry Roeder and Todd Kennedy, those are the lead PE teachers. Once again, work hand in hand with them to make sure everything goes smoothly. So with that, I'll take some questions.
Any questions? Go ahead.
I didn't know you were going to be here tonight, but I want to be able to thank you for your many years of service. I know when I've gone over there and had questions or asked if I could run around the track, you know, and bring my wife so that she could, and they were granted once, but other than that, we had to buy a membership. But other than that, it's been, with your leadership and all of the buildings and grounds, the auditoriums, the stages, and the various other things that fall under your umbrella has worked out rather well. We've had the plays and some of the musicals and so forth like that, and the dance lines that come in, and the choirs, and the various things that we've had over the years. It's just amazing when you drive by Kennedy or Jefferson on a Saturday and even on a Sunday and see the parking lot full. I'm always curious as saying, what's going on there now that I didn't know about? And it's always some big event of some kind where they have the buses from a variety of places, wrestling, section wrestling, and so forth that we've had over there. I mean, it's just been phenomenal. And under your leadership and guidance, we've been able to build a successful program, like you say, and we just hope it will continue. Is there anything else you want to tell us?
Well, you're absolutely right. There's those high schools run a lot on the weekends, and you mentioned section wrestling. Kennedy hosted that. They always host section dance line. There's Bloomington Gold, which is a big show choir event that runs at Kennedy, and those are 3 weekends almost back to back, along with the Kennedy wrestling tournament that they run too at the end of January. John Anderson and Chad Nyberg should also be commended for the support that they've given us. It's been a real good triangle with the high school and PE and the athletics and community ed.
We sometimes forget about the fact, the extracurricular activities as we concentrate, especially like the board concentrates on policies and curriculum and so forth like that, that one of the big strong elements that we've done, and with some cooperation from the city, you know, we've been able to put on a lot of programs in our facilities, and it's just made for a great community. So thank you, Doug.
Anyone else?
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Langfels?
Yes.
So thanks for being here tonight and for the very detailed information that you have provided to the board. I'm a little curious to know a little bit more about membership, and you know, you mentioned, you gave us a number, so could you first of all repeat that number of how many people do we have within the community that have bought a membership? And also, if you happen to have numbers of, how often are people using like the weight room and the track, in Like, how often do you see our residents using the facilities? Do you see more people coming during specific times of the day or days of the week, months of the year? Could you provide more information about that?
Sure, I'll
please?
try and give you kind of a, not a 30,000 feet view, but maybe down about 10,000 feet. As far as the memberships, we have memberships in a number of categories. So there's family, adult, student, senior, and track only. So if people just want to run or walk on the track, that's all they can. That's all they need.
Right.
And within that, you can buy a month, 2 months, 3 months, all the way up to 12 months. So it's very flexible. We don't have a cancellation fee, and we don't have an initiation fee. And the rates are very affordable. And if you have a health insurance coverage that qualifies for fitness reimbursement, you can get back up to $20 per month to cover your gym membership anywhere. And for us, that would cover pretty much everything. So if you come the required number of times, that membership is virtually free. The busy times are in the winter, and every health club will have the same type of pattern, where in the winter months here in Minnesota, most people don't want to go outside. So that's why I gave you the numbers from November through February, those 4 months when the daylight is low, it's colder, it's snowy. That's when the memberships everywhere go up. And that number was over 3,500. So we sold 3,500 memberships during that 4-month period. There was a dip at this time of the year as the weather gets a little nicer outside. Last year, if you remember April, it wasn't very nice the first half of the month. So anytime the weather is not so nice in the spring, that's kind of good for us. Our program sees more people coming back in. Okay, I'll renew for another month. They really want to be outside. So then it'll slide down in the spring, as you might imagine, and then we get a little bump up in the summer when the college students return home. And they're going to be home and they're going to be working, and they renew their membership now for 3 months. So they're back, for about mid-May through mid-August. So now we've got a little spike because of the college students, and then that'll go back down when they all head back to school. And the fall is a beautiful time here, so most people are exercising outside. That might be our lowest time for membership. As soon as the weather turns and we go off of daylight savings, the numbers go back up.
Thank you.
I hope that answers your question.
Jackson?
Thank you.
I was just curious more about the NBA Academy practices. Like, that's 9 through 12? Is that like open to viewing? Or
We have,
what's the rules
I've gone
on
back
that?
and forth with that organization. I've had to fill out a pretty hefty security questionnaire, closed practices. So
Oof.
unfortunately, if you were in weight training, you probably could use the weight room. They'll be on courts 1 through 3, so the weight room windows look on court 4 and 5. I think we'll get away with that. I don't know if we have to send students outside to come in the back door instead of down the hallway, which is where court 3 is. We'll figure all that out. But
All
they,
right.
they were pretty adamant that they needed to have closed practices to obligate what the attorneys have said. So we're going to make sure that happens.
What's
Thank you.
the program called again?
The program is called the NCAA Next Generation. So that is an event that happens during Final Four week. And this is leading up to the actual games, which are on Saturday and Monday of that first weekend in April.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sure.
Take this opportunity to recognize Doug Langfellows. He's our building reservations manager, and building use is one of the departments that's an entrepreneurial department. He has to market, deal with customers from all over the country, communicate, schedule things. There's a high demand for our use of our facilities, so that takes a lot of political savvy to negotiate with people and to prioritize the demand, because there's limited supply. He also has put us in a positive fund balance position as far as the building reservations department. And it's a year-round program, run 7 days a week, and sometimes over 12 hours a day. So it's a very demanding job, so he's responsible for all those operations. And not only that, but because we run those long hours, sometimes Doug has to deal with concerns from neighbors about noise, about lights, about other things, and he handles those things very well for us. He's a great representative. He's been serving us for how long now in this position?
17.5 years.
17 and a half years, almost since the start of the activity center, right? Since the start of the
Was
activity
hired
center.
right after 9/11.
Right. Right. So he's done a great job, and I'm sharing all this because, Doug, you're going to be leaving us right in a
Few weeks, I'll be
few
retiring.
weeks. So
Yes.
I'd like to, please join me in congratulating and recognizing Doug Lang.
Thank you for your service, Doug.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, that's when I was going to ask, when I asked him, is there anything else he wants to tell us? Because I knew this ahead of time. And incidentally, there probably will be a party, but you can't take any of the cake or pop out onto the floor of the centers, right?
Okay. Thank you. All right, that brings us to Part A. Would someone like to move Part A of the agenda?
So moved?
Second.
Thank you. Part A is our board business, our field trip approval, contracts, and agreements. All in favor of Part A, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None. Part B, we'll start off with the American Indian Education Compliance Documentation. Is there someone like to make this resolution?
Madam Chair, be it resolved, the School Board of Independent School District 271 accepts the resolution of non-concurrence by the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee for the 2018-19 school year.
Thank you. Our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Melvy's here with guests.
Make sure we have enough chairs. Chair Bartolotta, Superintendent Fujitaki, members of the board, on an annual basis per statute, the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee takes a vote of concurrence or non-concurrence on the program of education for the district. This year it was a vote of non-concurrence. So the group is here to discuss that with you, and I'm here to provide any comments at the end, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Sarah Olson. I'm a board member of the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee. The American, excuse me. Thank you. The American Indian Parent Advisory Committee submits a resolution of non-concurrence based on the current achievement gap for American Indian students and the lack of curriculum standards involving Minnesota tribal communities being taught across the district. APAC would like to see the district ensure accountability and compliance with the Minnesota statutes to address the academic success of Bloomington's American Indian students. In order to meet the unique academic and cultural needs of Bloomington Public Schools American Indian students, APAC offers the following recommendations suggesting the district implement a plan. 1, to make certain that Minnesota state academic standards, which include contributions of Minnesota state tribal communities, are being taught at each grade level and content area in accordance with Minnesota Statute 124D.78 Subdivision 1. The American Indian Education Parent Advisory Committee must develop its recommendations in consultation with the Curriculum Advisory Committee required by Section 120B.11, Subdivision 3. The committee must afford parents the necessary information and the opportunity effectively to express their views concerning all aspects of American Indian education and the educational needs of the American Indian children enrolled in the school or program. The school board or American Indian school must ensure that programs are planned, operated, and evaluated with the involvement and in consultation with parents of students served by the programs. 2, to provide district staff with culturally relevant training specific to Dakota and Ojibwe tribal communities of Minnesota. 3 is to hire and fund additional American Indian education program staff.
We were just wondering if anybody had any questions. Yes.
Yes, thank you for being here tonight and looking at your recommendations. I'm just wondering if you were to say, how are we doing so far with these? Are we partially meeting, does not meet, succeeding? Where are we at on those? I mean, are we teaching culturally relevant training specific to Dakota and Ojibwe, or are we not doing it at all?
Yes. So regarding number 1, we believe that the standards are not being taught.
Okay.
We are aware of the standards being taught at the 6th grade level across the district, but looking at other grades and possibly other programs, we're not finding much information that they are being taught. And when we ask some of our students or staff members, it doesn't sound like there's too much emphasis on it.
Okay. So number 2 or 3, is that kind of the same thing? We have a long way to go to meet those, or?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Just want to know where we're at so we can start moving that direction. Excellent, thanks.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I know some of you, but could you tell us your names and your positions on the advisory committee?
I'm Sarah Olson. I am a board member.
I'm Gina Alwes. I'm a board member, and I have 2 children in the district.
I'm Anita Eckert, and I am co-chair this year, and I have 1 student in the district.
I am Trevor Eckert. I am Anita Eckert's son. I am a student representative for the American Indian.
My name is John Blessing, and I'm a grandparent of a first grader here at Hillcrest Elementary in Bloomington. But I'm just a volunteer. I'm a member of the group here, and I'm trying to do the best I can for those children out there who are not flourishing. So far tonight I heard a lot about success stories, but we have some children that are not doing so well, and American Indian community. And I'm here on this board to try to see if I can be of some assistance to help get them going.
Clarissa Seidel, the American Indian Program Specialist.
Heidi Hecker, the Indian Education Program Coordinator.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Under your recommendations, number 2, it says to provide district staff with culturally relevant training specific to Dakota and Ojibwe tribal communities of Minnesota. What kinds of culturally relevant training do you think they need? It's often like, it's kind of a generic term I'm hearing a lot, culturally. But to your people group specifically, what is it we need to do within the district? Are there specifics?
I think some of it is related to that number 1. If we're providing training to our teachers and our staff, not just teachers within the district, but all staff within the district that may be coming in contact with our students or any Bloomington public school student.
What would that training include? What are the things you want to emphasize in that training? What are specifics? Where
I
are
think
we
Heidi
missing the
has
mark?
some suggestions.
Yeah.
Some of the things that were discussed is you can't teach what you don't know. And in order for, there's this understanding that in order to accurately teach the standards, you have to understand some of the Dakota and Ojibwe history and contributions. And so I think the conversation has been pretty much around that, is making sure our teachers have some solid foundation in understanding the Minnesota tribal history. Mm-hmm. So that would help them know how to teach the standards.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that, because when I was in elementary school, we used to have, every year, it seemed like we were focusing in on some aspect of the American Indian culture, because that was very significant to the prairies and to Minnesota history. Apparently you said that's covered in 6th grade, but you would like to see that in other grades as well? Is that what I understand?
We would, and it's our understanding also that, that American Indian standards regarding tribes in Minnesota are found throughout all grade levels in the standards, not just sixth grade. So we would like to see it at all of the grades.
Do you have resources that can be made available to teachers within our district as well? Because sometimes it's hard for teachers to know, where do I go and get all this information that can be brought to my students at the grade level I'm teaching?
I believe we do, and Heidi and Clarissa are great resources that they should be using already.
Okay.
And I believe some are aware and some are using, and
I think part of what we need to see is, American Indian achievements and the influence that they've had in a positive way in the culture. And also that leads into recognition with success, successes that an American Indian people have had. I think some of the trappings or some of the failings or some of the things that we get stuck in is past historical things that are more of a romantic nature or things that have happened. And then, we have a group of people that are actually struggling with generational trauma, that is focused around defeat. And so what we want to do is have success stories that the children can relate to and build upon, and feel good about. And so instead of being suppressed, so that's what I see.
Dr. Bergstrom.
First of all, I'd like to say thanks to each and every one of you for coming here. I know getting up on the table and leaning into a microphone can be intimidating. Trevor, if I can put you on the spot, do you want to give a shout out to the high school that you attend?
I am an attendant to the Jefferson High School in Bloomington. I'm a 9th grader there, so I'm just starting out.
All right, cool. I didn't want you to miss an opportunity to say thanks to the high school that you're going to. So I appreciate that everybody comes and that everybody shares. It's important for us to hear this. I just wanted to say thank you for coming. I appreciate that.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you all for being here tonight. Remember that, how many years ago was that, Heidi, the last time that you brought the non-concurrence?
It was 11-12 school year.
Uh-huh. Okay, it's been a while. So first of all, what would you say has changed between then and now? Because we had those few years of concurrence. What has made it different that now we have fallen into non-concurrence?
I'll defer to the parents for that one.
we did see some improvement in the academic, and then recently we've seen a decline, and we did notice that there's a decline throughout the school district, but our gap is still as big as it was back when we non-concurred the first time. And I was hoping that we would see a shrinkage in that gap, and we have not.
Mm-hmm. So besides what you see, happening here, like you're talking about establishing or making sure that we are meeting the academic standards, right? That include the contributions of Minnesota State tribal communities and culturally relevant training. So in having staff also that it's American Indian, what other things, what other challenges are you, or can you share with us additional challenges that you see your communities facing right now that might contribute to this gap?
When we were talking to Eric, we were saying, maybe if our students could see more of their history in there, they'd feel more connected, where they knew a little bit more about the subject than not knowing anything. And I don't know if that would help increase the gap, with them knowing a little bit more about their culture when it was taught, so that they would engage in it more.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, I think it's also knowing that their culture matters, we don't want it being forgotten and brushed aside, like it's not important. That's a big history to our state of Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think another thing that would help is having more Indian education program staff, so having more faces around that the American Indian children can see that there are people like them here too.
Madam Chair.
Please.
So I have a question for Trevor. So your experience with American Indian, like education around that, like lessons around that. So when was it, like, is it still that same, like 6th grade was when you had it the most and you haven't learned it? Or like, when have you been like realizing that it isn't where it should be?
Yeah, so 6th grade is the last time that I saw any of it implemented into any of the curriculum that was there. And even then, it was only in social studies that it was being taught. It wasn't spread throughout, say, for English or any sort of other academic point other than social studies. So other than that, I haven't seen it in any of my other years.
That's a great question, Allie. I'm going to ask you guys, have you seen it in any of your schoolings other than that?
Personally, I've really only learned about like the French and Indian War. I really only learned about like that war history. Music, I guess I really haven't had much history with the music, but I remember I went on a field trip, 5th grade maybe, to, oh my goodness, I'm gonna forget what it's called, but it's in Bloomington, you know, the one.
Pond Dakota Mission.
Pond Dakota Mission. But it was pretty much in 5th and 6th grade when I learned most of that. And I guess it hasn't really been brought to my attention. Like, it hasn't really been on my radar, but I definitely have realized that too.
Anyone else?
One more comment. So definitely want to thank you for bringing this to our attention. And I see it as a very, very concerning once again that we're, going back to that one point when we were years ago. And so concerning to see that, for me as a person of color, I know how important it is to be able to recognize yourself or see your culture in the staff who you're working with, and to really get to have the opportunity to have access to different situations that bring you closer to your culture and develop that sense of identity and belonging, right? And I know that we usually talk about the different needs of the communities of color, but we also need to come around and focus once again in the American Indian community. So I'm, I don't know, it really bothers me. So I just want you to know that that we hear you, and that I think it's very important that we continue to work together, that you continue to bring those concerns to the board, and continue to work in collaboration to see what else can we do so that your voice is also included, or that you feel that it is included, and also for our students, like Trevor, that you're able to bring those to our different student groups as well. So I also like to invite you to have, for us, you and us to have that continuous close relationship, and especially during those times.
Thank you.
So thank you.
If I may, I'd close by saying I've met with the group a couple of times recently. It's a very good group. I enjoy the conversations, and I really do look forward to working with the group and others on the recommendations that have been brought forward. So thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you. Okay. Yes.
Madam Chair, then down at the bottom, under the committee resolution, it talks about the fact that their administration, I suppose we need to turn over to the administration to provide the written recommendations for improvement from the superintendent or the assistant superintendent within the 60 days, and then get back to this group. It doesn't need to come back to the board, or does it?
I understand it is I'll be working with the group on this, and we can certainly give you guys updates as we move forward.
I'm sure the group they all know how to find us, so.
All right, any other comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor of this resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Achievement and Integration Budget 2019-20. Could someone like to move this resolution?
Madam Chair?
Please.
Be it resolved, the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves the 2019-2020 Achievement and Integration Budget for the 2019-2020 school year in the amount of $2,162,035.79 in the event of a decrease or increase in funding from the Minnesota Department of Education. The contents of the plan and corresponding budget will be adjusted accordingly.
Second.
Thank you. And Assistant Superintendent Dr. Melby's back.
Thank you, Chair Bartolotta, Superintendent Fujitaki, members of the board. This is a annual budget brought to the board every year for the Achievement Integration Program, as was just stated. Change to the budget in the program this year is Indian Mounds is being added as a racially identifiable school in the program, so we'll be providing some finances and support to Indian Mounds. Otherwise, not much change from previous year budget.
Are there any questions or comments?
Madam
Go
Chair, just quickly want to give kudos to those that worked on filling this out. It's a robust document. Lots of T's, lots of I's, T's to cross, I's to dots, and so I appreciate the energy and the effort for the team that put this thing together for us.
Thanks. On behalf of those who did, thank you. Yes.
Dr. Sorn.
Madam Chair, and Eric, this is the third year?
Correct. So
Yep.
of the Achievement Integration Plan, they're 3-year plans, so we'll be working on a new plan to submit next March and plan to start that work this summer, actually, with groups of stakeholders.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing no more questions, all in favor of this resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And for my, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
For my fourth group of the night, I didn't realize that Doug Langfeld was number 3 on the agenda. So we skipped over him, or we did him ahead of time. So that'll bring us to board member reports. Who wants, go ahead, Director Sorn.
I want to go first and talk about the wonderful Saturday Book Fest that we had here at Oak Grove Middle School, sponsored by and with many of our friends and under the auspices of the community education. But it was a tremendous program from 9 to noon. Many of the board members were there to see all the exciting things that would happen. It was really surprising because this is the first time we've done that. And as a member of the Community Education Services Committee, Advisory Committee, we were kind of skeptical at first how this might come about, but with the Education Foundation and other volunteers, it came off wonderfully. I signed up to be one of the animals, Big Bird or Clifford or whatever it was, but when they said you can't speak, you just have to shake hands and so forth, I declined because it isn't my strong suit. But it was a great time to have, and it was just impressed by so many little kids coming over there and knowing what it's going to be like to join Bloomington Public Schools. And then they had various other sporting activities, as our student reps mentioned, that were cut all too short for the season. That's my report.
Thank you. Who's next? Go ahead.
Just really, I had a chance to attend the math and literacy night at Westwood Elementary. It was very busy, very well attended, great activities that the staff put together for the families. I was just wonderful night. It was especially fun for me, though, because I also took my daughters with me, and they got to see a few teachers they had when they went there, so it was a great time. I tried a few of the math games. Can't say whether I did very well in them or not, but we won't talk about that. But I also want to just add about the Book Fest on Saturday. My volunteer shift was at the door, but I was on the second half, and I cannot tell you the number of people that went out telling us that it was such a great time. Thank you so much for having it, and so thank you to all the volunteers, all the staff that showed up to work at it. It was one of the other things that I really love seeing is people that work in the district coming and bringing their families. I thought that was a wonderful time. So thank you for everyone, their work that they put into it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair? I'll go quickly since I know we have another meeting after this one. Doug Langfeld's mentioned the Minnesota State Adapted Floor Hockey Tournament is being held this weekend. It's Friday the 15th and Saturday the 16th. It's over at Jefferson Activity Center. And the reason I'm mentioning that is that I know they're still looking for volunteers. The opportunities are many. They have, let's see, you can be a timer, you could be a scorekeeper, you can be an announcer, and then they have different positions at concessions. There is a sign-up genius that you can log into, and if I was more technically savvy, I could give you that information. But I bet if you called over to the activity center at Jefferson and said, "Hey, I understand that you're still needing some help," they would direct you in the right position. You can sign up for an hour, you can sign up for the whole day. Or you can just come and watch. The fans there are worth the price of admission twice over. It's a lot of fun. This is the 5th year that I'll be doing some announcing over there, and it's just a ton of fun. So there are opportunities to get in there, to volunteer, and maybe find something that you love to do. So I'll end with that.
Thank you. Dr. Beebe?
I had the opportunity to go to the MSBA negotiations training. It was an all-day event, and it was very worthwhile. And I'm hoping that I'm a little more well-versed in what that will be like, this being my first round of negotiations. I also attended the Book Fest, and I was able to be in one of the classrooms as a room helper. And I have a huge shout out to our elementary media center directors, because they did a great job taking the theme of an author and then developing something with the books. There was a computer activity. There were, you could learn how to draw the characters in that book. You could take a picture showing that you're in that book, acting out with puppets, even, making a puppet yourself. I thought it was just terrific, and it was such great community engagement. I met so many parents of young children. They said there were over 200 families, 225, that showed up, and it was really hard finding parking there, which is a great problem. And just so much energy. And I think it also gave us contact with 25 young families that now will be putting their children into our early childhood education programs. So that's just a great outreach that we had. I also attended a community education Star Awards. And we have some wonderful people in our community education. And they are given these awards to those staff who have made a positive impact in the lives of children, students, and families in the community, while also inspiring others in the workplace with their dedication, enthusiasm, organization, and excellence. And this year's award winners were Mike Larson, Allison Wilcox, Joanne Young, Diane Simkims, Josh Stevens, and Mary Jelleberg. And it was inspirational to sit there and hear about the ways that they have made these impacts. And I encourage you to attend next year if you're able. Just really a lot of shout outs to some great people, and very thankful for all the community that is within the community ed program that was really represented. And a shout out to The Wizard of Oz is this week. So this is a busy, busy time, starting on Thursday night and then Friday and Saturday. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, I too just want to say that the Book Fest was a giant success in my book. And I want to thank the 2 authors that came, both Minnesota authors. Douglas Woods, who had a great story that he told, was, I believe, based in Native American culture. So that was good for everybody. He played his guitar and told the story, and that was good. And then the other was Bloomington's own Nancy Carlson, who read books and showed the kids how to draw some of her characters, and that was really fun. So, yeah, it was very well attended. Superintendent?
Great. I just have a request for motion to establish a school board retreat on March 18th at 6 p.m. for the purpose of long-range facility planning and discussion of board goals. The retreat will be held at City's Civic Plaza.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of a retreat next Monday, March 18th? Please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? None. Thank you.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay. If there's nothing else to come before the board this evening, our meeting's adjourned.